Okay, in this video, we are going to look at creating another melody using syncopation. Syncopation is simply a rhythm that doesn't fall on the beat and creates a cool offbeat pattern. So I'm going to just disable this melody that we just created in the last video. So I'm just going to click on the top bar of the melody and press 0 on my keyboard, and that will deactivate the clip. Now, we're not looking at creating heaps and heaps of different melodies. We only want probably one for this example, and maybe two if you're going to get really experimental, or if you're going to get fancy with it, basically. But what we're doing now is we're just looking at different ways of coming up with a good melody. So if your kind of compositional or theory, your knowledge is limited to only working with chord notes, then that's fine. You create a melody using only chord notes. But as you watch through these tutorials, you'll discover new ways to write melodies, and you might find something that works for your composition a little bit better than just using chord notes. So in this example, we are going to create another melody that, again, only uses chord notes, but it's going to incorporate some syncopation. So what we're going to do first is go right-click on the last track and insert a new MIDI track. So we have a new MIDI track down below. We are going to right click and copy on the chords track, and we are going to paste our chords track onto our new MIDI track. I'm quickly going to rename this track to Melody 2. And then I'm going to double click on the top bar of the MIDI clip and select all the notes and press 0 on my keyboard to deactivate them, but just so we can see what chord notes we need to use, just like last time. Alright, this melody is going to use some syncopation. So what I'm going to do is right click and change the grid to 16th notes. Now this melody is going to make use of the dotted quaver. So each one of these grids is each one of these grid lines, I guess, or grid markers. Each one of these is a 16th note, okay, or a semiquaver. All right. If I double click in here and drag this out to be 3 semiquavers, then that's the equivalent to a dotted quaver. Now, using a dotted quaver in your melodies is quite of a common rhythm pattern that, or I guess a rhythmic unit that's used when writing electronic music melodies. So I'm going to come up with a new melody that makes use of this dotted quaver. So I'm going to use one dotted quaver here, and then I'm going to put that on the E flat, and I might just actually hold up there and show you what I did there. So if I hold down Control or Option, depending on whether you're using a PC or a Mac, so Control for PC or Option for Mac, if I Control, click and drag, I can actually just duplicate a note, and you can actually do that for multiple notes selected. You can do that for chords also. So let's say we have a chord here. I can draw a box around them and duplicate those by control clicking and dragging, or option clicking and dragging. And yeah, I thought that would just be a handy tip. But anyway, let's get stuck back into it. So let's create our syncopated melody. So I'm going to do this, and then for the last beat of this bar, I'm going to just use quavers for that. All right, and I'm going to keep this rhythm pattern just like before. We had the same rhythm pattern up until the last bar, and I'm going to keep that consistent here. So we have our A flat major chord here. So again, I'm going to use a dotted quaver, and then because these notes feature in both chords, I'm going to use them again. But then this time round, I'm going to go up to the A flat, and then back to the E flat. So again, quavers for those two, because they only take up half of a beat, where these ones are dotted quavers. Same rhythm again for the F minor chord, but I'm going to start on A flat and then go for a few Fs in a row. And then for the end, I might just go up to this C, back down to this A flat. And for the last bar, I'm going to make use of the B flat chord, because that's the chord of the bar. So I'm going to use a few B flats in a row, 4 of those. And so again, essentially it's the same rhythm, but just using different notes. And then I'm going to do an F there and a D there. So let's have a listen to this melody and see what we've come up with using chord notes and syncopation. Now what we're going to do is drag Massive onto the track so we can hear the notes, and then we are going to hit play and see what it sounds like. So there you have it. That's how you incorporate a syncopated rhythm to your melody using chord notes. So again, we're going to, I guess, look at more and more complex ways of making melodies. You only need one melody for this example. You don't need to come up with 4 or 5 different ones. You can, but it might be hard to fit them all together. So yeah, just focus on getting one and using these tutorials to find a good melody that's going to work for your piece.